Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. My name is Janet Schneider, and I am your worship leader this morning. Our urban community welcomes all with love, supports learning and spiritual growth, serves our wider community, and works for justice, equity, and inclusion. We are glad you are here with us this morning, whether in person or virtually. Unitarian Universalists affirm and promote 7 principles. Today's service will focus on the 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. This morning, we will introduce a plan to put our words into action. This plan provides an opportunity for each and every one of us to be a part of caring for our earth. We light the chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith, using the words by Vern Barnett. I pledge allegiance to the earth and all life, the fields and streams, the mountains and seas, the forests and deserts, the air and soil, all species and reserves, habitats and environments, one world, one creation, one home, indivisible for all, affected by pollution anywhere, depleted by any waste, endangered by greedy consumption, degradation by the faithlessness, preserved by recycling, conservation, and reverence. The great gift renewed for all generations to come. Protected, preserved by reducing, reusing, recycling, with conservation and reverence, the great gift renewed for all generations to come. Please join me now in singing our vision song. The words will appear on the screen. Our flowers today are from Ellen Wathen in honor of our new member, Angela Pruitt, and new members who have joined in the last year. Let's welcome Angela. Allison, Denise.
Good morning. So on behalf of the membership and welcoming team, welcome, and more importantly, welcome. Angela Pruitt has joined our congregation as a member. She actually signed the member book this summer, but we wanted to take the opportunity of back to school season and the opening of the church year to welcome her during a service. So we'll start with Denise, her buddy, introducing Angela, and then we'll have a responsive reading.
Hi, I have the great pleasure of introducing you to my next door neighbor and great friend, Angela Pruitt. Angela moved in 1 year ago from Birmingham, Alabama, and Zoomed our services several months before actually attending in person. She admired Rev Connie so much she wanted to sign the membership book while she was still here, and which she did on Rev Connie's last day in the pulpit. She volunteers at the food pantry. Will start tutoring at South Avondale Elementary in a few weeks. She enjoys singing in our choir and has joined a local community choir called Fluidity. She aspires to be a member of the Bell Choir and is happy to have found First Church. I might add that Angela is a great cook and loves to entertain our neighborhood friends and all of her out-of-town visitors. So welcome to Angela Pruitt.
And then we will have a reading, and the words will appear on the screen. Maybe? No? Yes. Okay. So let's do a repeat after me style congregation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. Thank you, and welcome again, Angela.
Okay, now's our favorite time in the service. Get up and greet your neighbor.
to your seats. Thank you. Hi, Joe. Thank you. Once upon a time, there was a man who lived on a farm but wanted to travel and see the world. He thought about how he could do that. You know a story like this? I can't wait to hear your story. Maybe we can compare notes after this. So in this story, the farmer decides that he is going to hire a caretaker to look after his farm and his animals while he's traveling. And so then 1 year passes by, and 2 years pass by, and then 5 years pass by, and 10 years pass by, until suddenly it's been 20 years until this man returns to his land. And he goes to the caretaker and he thanks him over and over because it's clear this land has been well taken care of. The animals are well fed, the crops are fruitful, and they sit down and they share tales of the past 20 years, and then the man says, "So what are you going to do now?" And the caretaker was a bit taken aback. "Wait," he says, "surely after 20 years, this land is mine." "No," said the man. I asked you to take care of this land while I was away, but I'm back now, so this land is mine." Well, they couldn't decide whose land it was. And so they decided to go to the people of the village. And first they went to a holy man to ask if he could answer the question of whose land this was. The holy man didn't know. So then they went to a judge to ask the judge whose land this was, and the judge didn't know. So then they went to a wise man, and the wise man said, "Wait, to get a full scope of this story, I need to visit this land." And so the wise man came to the farm, and he took some time strolling through the crops and communing with the animals, until finally he called the two together and he said, This is quite a pickle. I'm going to have to consult a higher authority." And the two men looked at each other. How long was this going to drag out? Were they going to be fighting over this land the rest of their lives? Were they going to have to travel somewhere else to seek out the answer to whose land this is? And that is when the wise man dropped to his knees and put his ear to the ground. And the two men kind of looked at each other. That was a bit strange, they thought. And then the wise man stood up, looked at the two, and said, "The land has given me an answer. This land doesn't belong to either of you. The land tells me you belong to it." And then the wise man walked off. I wonder what the wise man thought, what the wise man meant when he said those words. Children, please join me in your classrooms.
that you dream of once in a lullaby. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I'll watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white, and the brightness of day highlights the dark, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. See friends shaking hands saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you'll find me. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I?
Hi, I'm Denise Olden, and my words today represent Janet Schneider as well. She and I are kind of very passionate about this topic. We'd like to start by reviewing our UU 7th principle. That's coming up. There we go. Respect for the independent life web of all existence of which we are a part. So this is our commitment to the planet. We all know that recycling materials keep them from moving into landfills where they will waste energy and space, possibly polluting the air as well as the land. A piece of plastic that ends up in a landfill takes about 1,000 years to fully degrade. There are two areas where we, you, can really make a difference. So we're going to start with your home orientation. Please familiarize yourself again with what Rumpke takes. It changes, and new items are added periodically. Just because a product has that wonderful little symbol doesn't mean that Rumpke will get it to a recycling plant that will actually process it. They're very specific about what goes in the curbside recycling bin. You can hope Rumpke will recycle your trash, but it is your wish, and it's not based on reality. If it's not on their list, it goes into the landfill. About half of my garbage now goes to the Cincinnati Recycling Hub. I'm very happy to say that I have seen many of you there when on my visits. So how many people have already been there? All right, I'd say a good third. That's terrific. So let's take it one step further now from your home efforts to church. I'm going to give you 4 challenges. Sign up for the private tour that Colleen has offered to us to go through the Recycle Hub. That means the upstairs as well, if you haven't been up on the 4th floor. It's Friday, September 23rd. Only 20 can attend, but she just offered today a second tour. So just put your name down and we will reach out to you if you want that tour. There's also an open house at the hub on September 18th. It's a public tour. It's public. I don't know, she can tell you more about it. There's a flyer outside, too, at the table. And remote attendees, if you would like to get on one of the tours, please contact Janet. She's the coordinator of the tour. Second challenge. There's a recycle board out there with all kinds of items hanging up on it. Take yourself a quiz and see how you do. What's recyclable and where? And there's one item, I'll just tell you, no one will take. So try to find the one item on the board. Number 3, be mindful of the items you bring to church. With COVID, we stopped many of our good practices, and our staff is not familiar with who we were when we were cleaning cloth napkins and composting bin in the kitchen and use of glassware, not plastic cups. So we need to reestablish our good practices here in the building. The staff is, by the way, probably not going to drive to the hub with our things that we bring in, so maybe there's a challenge there as well. Number 4, here's the big one. Janet and I are very hopeful that there's enough interest in the membership to relaunch a green team. We've tried several times before, and it's fizzled out. Other churches are light years ahead of us. There's an organization called Green Umbrella, Faith Communities Go Green. I've attended some of their meetings, maybe you have too. And they will coach us. We can get some people to come in and tell us their success stories and how we can get going ourselves. So there's another sign up out there. If you are interested in maybe being a part of that meeting or finding out more about how we can maybe catch up, I'd love to have just a pulse, because honestly, if there's not interest, I'm not going to proceed with that kind of effort of getting meetings together. I've got to know that we've got some support in the congregation. So that's kind of the challenges. I'm hoping we can do a little better. Even if it's just a few things, that's better than what we're doing today. So with these thoughts, I'm delighted to introduce you to our speaker, who will tell you about our September Plate Collection Recipient Organization. Colleen McSwiggin is the Managing Director and co-founder of the Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub. She's a graduate of Miami University with a BA in microbiology. She's previously the chemistry lab manager and sustainability committee chairperson at Mount St. Joseph University. where she organized electronics recycling events and led the Beyond the Bin recycling initiative. For her sustainability work at Mount St. Joseph and in the community, she's awarded the St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Award by the Sisters of Charity and the Teacher Environmental Award by the Greater Cincinnati Earth Coalition in 2019. Please welcome Colleen.
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you for inviting me, Denise, Janet, Janet, and Lisa, who's not here, and thank you to the AV team as well, since not my forte, let's just say. So as Denise said, my name is Colleen McSwiggin. I'm the Managing Director and Recycler-in-Chief for the Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub. If we can get the first slide up. So our mission is to revolutionize how people think about things. We want people to take into account where things came from, how they got to them, how long they're using them, and then where they have to go after they're done, quote unquote, being used. There's a phrase kind of in the recycling community that you can't just throw things away. There is no such place as away. Things have to go somewhere. And a lot of those things end up in the landfill. A lot of them also end up in the environment. We kind of decided, hey, we know a better way to do this. There's places that we can go with things, especially things that can be recycled, things that can be reused by other nonprofits to help them better fulfill their missions. So let's create a place where all of those things come, and then we can get them to where they need to go. And although part of the idea behind this, the goal is just that we kind of hate waste. We want to make the world a better place. Like I said, helping other nonprofits do better with more resources. Really, our end goal is trying to mitigate the effects of climate change. We know that climate change is real. You've probably all seen it in the news. Flooding in eastern Kentucky, a third of Pakistan is underwater right now. Just unbelievable droughts, fire seasons in the West. You cannot deny that climate change is not a thing, and we are responsible for it. Just kind of in a nutshell, if you think of how long it took all of those fossil fuels to be made, literally millions of years, like I think 250 million years was just the span of the dinosaurs, and we have burned a lot of that in about 150 years. So that's a lot of carbon back in the atmosphere in a very short amount of time. If you want to do the next slide. Just to give you kind of a little background on us, as Denise mentioned, I was at Mount St. Joseph University, and there were 4 programs that all went in to create the hub. 2 of those are from the Mount, the Electronics Recycling Days, and the Beyond the Bin initiative, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. And then we also had a zero landfill program that had been around since 2008, and we had Pleasant Ridge Montessori had a TerraCycle program, which I'll also talk about in a minute. For all of those organizations combined, we had sort of a 26 years of existence. If you count each organization's time and put them all together, and we collected and sent for reuse or recycling 465 tons of materials in that time. Where we are right now, because we actually have a warehouse space, we have more time to collect things. It's year-round. We have more opportunities for people to come and take things, and we can just take more types of things as well. I'll kind of get into the more details on that later. And we're just trying to make it easier for people to recycle and reuse things. We don't see why we shouldn't be able to again, make the world a better place, and we're not really solving a recycling or a use problem per se, we're solving a logistics problem. And we are an almost entirely volunteer organization. We have 3 part-time employees who work on our warehouse. We actually got grants, yay, to hire 2 more people. We're interviewing for those now. But I'm full-time, not paid. Our associate director is full-time, not paid, just because we really believe this needs to be done. Time is running out on the climate change clock, and it sort of came down to, if we know how to do it, let's do this. Next one. The way that we fulfill our mission is kind of 2 different ways. One we call collections and connections. So that's doing things like I'm doing right now to let you all know about it. And then we try to have events where people can drop things off. We have regular business hours where people can drop things off. We try to connect people to other organizations. If you have something, say furniture, clothing that we can't take, we say, hey, you can take it to these places instead. We try to find new places to go with things. Some of them have been a little odd. We actually found a place in Wisconsin that will take trophies, and they'll take kind of all the little nameplates off of those and clean them up, and then they'll donate those to Special Olympics when they need those. And then we also offer items for reuse. When we say for sale, but it's not for sale. You don't have to pay anything. Just come and get it if you can use it. And then we also have education. So we've got our website, we've got social media. We're always happy to answer questions by email or by phone. And then we also promote other organizations, as I mentioned before. If there's something we can't take, we can say, hey, look at this organization that can take this, or look at this organization, maybe even halfway around the world. Isn't that an awesome idea? Wish we could replicate that here. And then we also do tours of our facility, which, as Denise mentioned, we'll have one not next Friday, 2 Fridays from now, if you want to come and kind of see a little bit more in depth what we do. And we do have a lot of people say, when they see the warehouse in person, they're like, oh, now I get it. So I welcome you to come to that. What we take. Most of what we take is for free. This is not a comprehensive list by any stretch of the imagination. We do take some things for a fee, and most of the things that we take for a fee, it's because we have to pay for it to go out. A lot of those things are electronics, light bulbs, batteries, tires, things like that. But there's a whole lot of things that we can take for free because people will come and take them and reuse them, elsewhere, and we don't have to pay for that to go anywhere. So some of the big ones that we take, shoes, we actually send to about 4 different places now, either for reuse or recycling, kind of depending on, is it a brand name shoe? Is it a no name shoe? Is it still in good condition? Is it not in good condition? Is it a dress shoe? Is it a sneaker? And we have a lot of, I think we've had 3.8 tons of shoes that have gone out just since we've been open since April 2021. We've had an amazing amount of egg cartons go out because people don't quite know where to go with them. If you have the paper ones, they're not exactly recyclable in Rumpke because they kind of say, you can throw them in here, but they'll probably fall apart in the water and not be collected in any way. And then the styrofoam ones are obviously a problem. So it's like, bring them to us. Reuse is always better than recycling because that's one less resource that has to go into that. One of the other big things that we collect is styrofoam. Since we've been opened in April 2021, we have collected the equivalent of 7 semi-trailers of styrofoam, which, especially right after the holidays last year, we had literally, and we're talking big bags, 12 bags in one day came in just because of all the things that people had gotten over the holidays for presents and such. And we basically just send that to a company in Mason, just because they can actually do what's called densifying it. They take the air out of it, they ship it to Owens Corning, and then Owens Corning makes it into insulation for houses. So that's just kind of a little bit, a smattering of some of the places that things go. And it's pretty much if we can take it, if it doesn't take up too much space, if it's not too hard to sort, we try to take it. Next slide, please. As far as where we are, this is a little tricky, let's just say. Our address is 911 Evans, and we don't actually own the building, but for whatever reason, there is no entrance on Evans Street. So if you actually do come down to see us, you want to kind of go around to the back of the building off of Woodrow Street, come into the gated lot, and then kind of head to the right side of the building, and you'll see there's a smaller garage door there that you can come into our receiving area, which is kind of hidden. You can see there behind where the other van is. Just so if you do come see us, you can see the building, just keep driving around so you can figure out, okay, where's the actual door for this? Next slide, please. And this, again, is a list of where things go, and this, again, is not comprehensive, but a lot of things, so Ronald McDonald House, we collect the pop tabs. New Life Furniture Bank takes a lot of our hangers when they're setting up apartments and homes for other people. Matthew 25 Ministries takes all of the clean prescription bottles that we can give them, and then medical supplies like crutches and wheelchairs and things like that. The Cincinnati Permaculture Institute and the Civic Garden Center have both taken plastic plant pots from us, especially if they're starting, new plants, or if somebody's got For the Civic Garden Center, when they've got their green plant sale in, I think it's May, if somebody's got irises and they need to divide them and they need something to put those irises in, they can come get plant pots from us. Dress for Success gets all of our dress shoes that are still in good condition. The Architectural Foundation of Cincinnati takes some of the zero landfill items that we have. That is things like tile and wallpaper books and carpet samples and things like that they take for their use. And those are available, again, to anybody in the public. If you've got, a small bathroom and you want to retile it, come down and get tile from us. You don't have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot. The Ohio Alley Cat resource actually takes some of our larger styrofoam coolers that we get in. They use that to make winter shelters for cats. Souls for Souls gets sort of the non-name brand sneakers that are still usable. The Lions Club gets all of our eyeglasses that are still in good condition, and then they have a program to distribute that to other people that need glasses. Recycle Force is a nonprofit in Indianapolis. They are, although their mission is recycling electronics, their reason for existence is to give people who were previously incarcerated job training, study job history, and then get back to their normal lives, quote unquote. And it's been great working with them over the last 10 years that I've been working with them, because we started with them at Mount St. Joe. And then various food pantries actually get all of the wrapped utensils that we collect. I won't go through everything else on the second part here, but I will mention, so TerraCycle, is a for-profit company that companies like Procter & Gamble and Colgate and I'm trying to think, Taco Bell partner with, so that their packaging can be recycled. And this is packaging that can't go in the curbside bins. We get a little bit of money when you bring those things to us. So if you've got bags from Kroger food, so from cheese or from apples, etc., we can take that and we ship that off, and we get a little bit of money for that. And then Brightmark is the other big, recycler, I guess, that we work with. They are a for-profit company, but they are one of the reasons that we are in existence. We found out, I found out in 2019 that they were going to be building in Ashley, Indiana, which is 3.5 hours from here, kind of northeast Indiana, and they can take all number 2 to number 7 plastics that can't go in your recycling bin. That is a game changer in many ways. They have a chemical recycling process. Most of what you see when you send bags to Kroger is mechanical recycling. This process, the chemical process, can take care of things when it's got labels, when it's got stickers, when there's some contamination. And for a lot of the post-consumer things that you probably have in your lives, there is no other way to take care of that other than having a place like Brightmark in existence to do that. Next slide. Our impact since April of 2021, and we are very, very proud of this number because it's pretty darn big, we think. We've had over 144 tons that we have recycled or sent for reuse since we opened 16 months ago, I guess now. And if you think of that, when I mentioned we had the 4 programs that all combined 26 years, we have hit more than a quarter of what we did individually in not even a year and a half. That includes 68 tons of electronics, more than 18 tons of plastic that could not have gone in your recycling bin, the 7 semi-trailers of styrofoam that I mentioned, 2.8 tons shipped to TerraCycle, so that's things like pumps from soap and razors and contact lens packaging and a whole host of other things, 3.6 tons of shoes, 30 tons of zero landfill items, so that's the tile and all of those other things, and I will say tile takes up most of that because it's really heavy, and then 27 tons of other items sent for reuse. So that's things where like people took packaging, if they have an Etsy or an eBay store and they wanted to package something up to ship things to their customers, or if they needed plant pots, or if they wanted corks to make some sort of art, they've taken all of that from us, and it's added up to 27 tons. And then we also did a special collection for Rumpke, where we collected a little over 1,300 pounds of political signs at the end of the last election cycle, just because they said, we can totally take these, we just don't have any place to collect them. Can you take them? So we did, and it was sort of 2 big boxes, about this big, and of just the signs, and then another 3 of the metal stakes that went with them. Next page. And as far as how you can help, as I mentioned earlier, we're an almost entirely volunteer organization. So we always need help. If you have time to donate, an hour or 2 hours to work at our warehouse, to work at one of our events. We just had an electronics event yesterday, and we had 10 people actually from another church, and they were, helping get stuff out of cars, helping cut the cords off, because when we cut the cords off, we don't pay for the cords, and we saved ourselves $6,000 last year doing that. We have people that will come in and help sort all of the zero landfill items. So if you like just, looking at fabric swatches and saying, oh my gosh, isn't this pretty? Let's put these pretty ones together. You can totally do that. It's really on your own time. So we have our regular business hours are on Thursdays and Saturdays. Thursdays are from 12 to 6. Saturdays are from 10 to 2. But then we're also open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to have other volunteers come in when we're not so busy trying to get everything that comes in downstairs upstairs. And you can also bring us items for reuse too. So if you're cleaning out a basement, if you're cleaning out a parent's house after they've passed, if you're just trying to declutter and minimize things in your lives, bring them to us. We might not be able to take all of them, but we can probably tell you where to go with most of them. And then if you can always make a monetary donation as well. As I mentioned, we're almost all volunteers. We still have to pay our rent, which for the 2 spaces that we have, the 20,000 square feet on the 4th floor and about 1,600 feet on the 1st floor for the intake area, that's about $49,000 a year. So, and then you can also help spread the word about what we're doing. Word of mouth is great if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Spreading the word through social media is great, especially if we've got an event coming up that if you know that you've got a friend who's got a bazillion electronics they got to get rid of. It's like, hey, there's an electronics event coming up at the hub. Go do it. And then just helping to connect us to potential sponsors, donors, grants, etc., is always appreciated, because that's kind of how we've survived so far. About half of our income for 2021 was from individual donors. About a fourth of it was from grants, and then a fourth of it was from sort of what we call our generated revenue. So that's the fees that we collect for electronics and things like that. We want to up this by a lot. I kind of told Denise a little bit about what our future plans are. So as I mentioned, we have about 21,600 square feet. We eventually want to be to a point within 3 to 5 years where we have what's called a resource recovery park. It will be 10 to 12 acres. It will be multiple buildings. We will be able to take things like household hazardous waste. We will have more permanent employees so that we can do things more efficiently. And we also want to have more spaces for other nonprofits so we can be in one space all together. We want to have education so people who might be climate change deniers can come and get sort of non-biased information so that they understand why this is a thing, why it's important, and then also more hands-on stuff. So we want to have a rain garden, we want to have a pollinator garden, we want to have a walking trail, all of that in one place, so it can be kind of the one place in Cincinnati. If you're, have questions about sustainability, come to us and we will try to answer those questions. Next slide. And then this is just my contact information. Won't go through all of it because you can't probably read it anyway. But also on the table outside is I've got a couple of my business cards. So if anybody has questions, you can just pick one of those up. And I'll actually be outside afterwards too if you've got questions at all. So just want to thank you very much. I always say, I know this is a lot, but it's one of those things where if you come to the hub the first time and bring your stuff, we usually have volunteers who help sort things out, and we're happy to be there and happy to help. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Colleen. I was pretty excited before, but now I'm just blown away and just really can't wait to finish cleaning out my house and getting these things to you. Okay, now we'd like to sing Blue Boat Home, which is number 1064 in the Teal hymnal. Your donation today and for the rest of the month will help support the work of the Cincinnati Recycle and Reuse Hub. Please make checks payable to First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati with CRRH in the memo line. You may also make your donation online through Breeze at any time. You can text GIVE to 513-717-7373. You can give now on Breeze or online at www.firstuu.com, or mail your check to 536 Linton Street, Cincinnati, for 5219. Or if you're so inclined, you can leave a check with us here today. Our closing words are by Robert F. Kaufman. Loving and responsible actions. We have come together to share our deepest concerns, speaking and singing words of inspiration and hope. We have committed ourselves to do what we can to ease the burdens of those who suffer, to stand for decency and compassion. We have pledged to work for a more wholesome environment for us and for all the generations that will follow. But these are just words. The hymns we sing are just songs. All our reflections are just idle thoughts. When we convert them all into loving and responsible action throughout the week, then, and only then, will this morning become what we want it to be, a time of worship. And now we'll extinguish the chalice by repeating the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we may gather again. Okay, we have a few announcements. Most important one is that we have the congregational meeting right after this. So we'll give you time to go get some coffee and a cookie or whatever, and then meet back here as soon as we can. And is Sabora here? Yes, come. On September 25th, which is a Sunday, there's going to be a walk to defeat ALS, and this is in honor of Leslie Edwards, who many of you know, and Sabura is going to give us a little bit of information about that.
Good morning. We are asking that you please join the family members and friends supporting the Cincinnati Walk to Defeat ALS on Sunday, September 25th, to honor documented original Tuskegee Airman Leslie Edwards Jr. He was the oldest living representative of the Tuskegee Airmen in the greater Cincinnati area prior to his death in 2019. Mr. Edwards suffered from ALS, a disease that particularly affects veterans. The funds raised by the walk will have a direct impact on the quality of life of those living with ALS today by making local care and services available. The walk will be a 2-mile loop at the Harper Meadows area of Winton Woods Park. You can arrive and check in at 9:30. We will be set up for those who are joining us as part of the UU team. The walk is going to begin at 11, but there will be a photo opportunity at 10:30. Those who cannot walk are encouraged to show up to cheer on. I will not be able to walk, but I'll be there cheering people on. You can also, if you cannot walk with us in person on the 25th, you can walk virtually. You can do your 2 miles at another time or place, or you can contribute financially. We have the UU Greater Cincinnati Council is matching the second $250 that we raised, and then Jacqueline Covington, who is a friend of Doda Edwards, will match the second $250 raised. We are trying to make this a Cincinnati, the greater area of Cincinnati UU collaborative. So we have representatives from St. John's, from the Gathering Northern Hills. We presented at the council meeting yesterday, and we know that I refer to them affectionately as the 3 H's, are also participating, whether they have people who are signing up to walk. We hope that this first year in the Leslie Edwards UU team is a reflection of the honor that we had of having this amazing representative of our community, this amazing historical figure. And we hope to do this every year, but we would love to see representation from all 6 of the Cincinnati communities. You can find information on Facebook. You can also, I think you can, oh, it was posted before. You can email me or Dan. You can also, our numbers are available on the flyers as well.